What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Tactile Knife Co. Rockwall. So this is, of course, not just your average Rockwall. This is a special edition with the golf ball milling or texturing pattern that they did. They're calling it on their website a limited release. Unfortunately, you cannot go and buy it directly from their website anymore. I did not purchase this directly from them. I bought it through the secondary on a Facebook group, and I think I got a pretty good deal for it considering what they went for. Like I said, unfortunately, you can't just go buy one of these directly from Tactile Knife Co. However, they are doing a seasonal release, which is something they do where they've done it a lot with their pens, tactile turn. And they're transitioning it over to their knives. They've been doing it for a little while now, but I think within the last, I want to say 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, they have come out with 4 new seasonal releases of the Rockwall in 4 different variations, and one of them is the Fairway, which is the same knife as this with the golf ball milling pattern, but they have Cerakoted it, or they have, it wouldn't be anode, it'd be Cerakoted, green body with a yellow clip and yellow thumb studs, and then a white pivot. It looks super cool too. A little bit more pricey, but again, you're getting that Cerakote, sort of feature on there, which I will leave a link to that one down below. And if you're interested in checking this out on the website just for specific specs and whatnot, you can find it on there as well under limited releases. Unfortunately, I wish they would make this one full time, because I think out of all the different limited releases that they have done with the Rockwall, this one looks the best. I think they've done Monkey Edge, or not Monkey Edge, Bad Monkey. Wow, that's gonna bug me now. There's some sort of EDC website with monkey in the name, and I don't know why I'm having a brain fart. But they did like frag tie on here. They had a rifling pattern version, I think, on Knife Center. They've had a couple different variations of it, but I think this one looks the best just because of how awesome it. I don't know. I'm drawn to this one the most. It's just, to me, the most aesthetically appealing. I love how they dimpled over the pivot. Just looks super, super cool, super streamlined. This was a knife that was on my kind of on my horizon. I had, wanted to check it out for quite a while, ever since the original Rockwall come out in the flipper tab version. But I kind of heard some bad things about it, and eventually, through more quality control, Tactile Knife Co. got better, and they started producing better products. This is the second Tactile Knife Co. knife that I've ever bought. The first one was the Bear, the slip joint that they have, and I bought that directly through the website. Really like that knife. It was my first slip joint, premium slip joint that I'd ever handled or bought, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I just didn't carry it as much, and I ended up selling it a while back. But for what it is, how slim that knife was, it's a really good carry. Get a nice slip for it. Highly, highly recommend the Bear, and I can highly, highly recommend the Rockwall as well, which you're probably like, Alex, get into the review. So we're gonna jump right in. But of course, starting with materials, you guys can see that this is a full titanium bodied knife. You have titanium sides here, dual thumb studs, loop over style deep carry clip that mounts to the back of the knife. That is righty only carry, but I love the way they do these clips. Kind of minimum clearance to get in and out of your pocket, but it works very well. And it is basically a pen clip, which I really like. It's I always say that, but I love when pocket clips are just small and minimal, and they don't stick the whole way down here, and they don't scream, I have a knife in my pocket, and this does that very, very well. So I have to give them a very big round of applause on how they designed their pocket clips. But you have a backspacer here, CPM MagnaCut on the blade, Tactile, nice thin grind. Has a little bit of I'd say it's a mixture between a drop point and a spear point. Just a nice, simple overall blade shape. Jumping up top. Of course, it is a liner lock, which, spoiler alert, the lock on this knife is not the lock itself. Well, kind of the lock itself, but kind of not the lock itself. Is the only sort of complaint that I've had with this knife so far. Other than that, I absolutely love it. It's just the lock bar access is not good at all. You pretty much have a, flush liner on each side, or excuse me, a flush scale on each side, and the liner's in the middle. I would have loved to have a little bit more of a cutout there, with just make it fidget, playing with it and using with it, and cutting with it, and just a lot more accessible and a lot easier. That kind of took me a while to get used to, but I've kind of grown how to use it and how to use my thumb, and that's just something that happens whenever you had this knife for a while. I feel like you just grow to use it in your own special way, and you learn how to operate things differently and so on and so forth. But that's kind of how I was with this. You guys can see, if my phone will focus, the thumb studs have a little bit of texturing on them, which is cool. It's on bearings. As for internal milling, there are both pockets on both sides cut out. On the show scale side, you have 2 big pockets, and on the liner lock side, you have 1. Try to get some quick specs for you guys. So overall length is 7 inches, closed length 4 inches, blade length of 2.84 inches, with a blade hardness of 60 to 61 HRC. That might be, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know if this was maybe, well, no, because they've only made it with a Magna Cut blade. So I feel like that's maybe, depending on how you use it, that could be a little bit lower. I feel like Magna Cut could be, I've seen it in a lot of different places, from 63 to 64. So that might be another knock on the knife, depending on how you use it. But to me, I see this knife as a gentleman carry knife. I'm never going to really hard use this knife at all. It's just going to cut packages and whatnot, different things like that. Very light duty EDC. So that probably really doesn't bother me too much, but just wanted to throw that out there. Of course, with a flat grind, ceramic ball, ceramic pivot, ceramic ball detent ball. I can't talk today. Ceramic detent ball and ceramic ball pivot bearings. Thank you. I really struggled there. Of course, it's made in the USA 100%, which is very, very cool. Love that. And yeah, so I think that's all for materials. So next we are going to talk about action. Now, action on this knife, you have dual thumb studs. So of course you can thumb flick it, you can middle finger flick it, and you can slow roll it. The detent on here is nice and snappy. I know when they first started producing these, starting with the the flipper tab version, then when they moved over to the thumb stud version, I know a lot of people said that detent was kind of an issue on these knives, and they weren't super snappy. The detent was kind of mushy and wasn't very responsive. But I feel like ever since I've had this knife, or as long as I've had this knife, and I've carried it and fidgeted with it and just done knife things with it, I've never had an issue with the detent. And I think I've heard from other people that the obviously quality control issues have been checked and worked on and evolved from Tactile Knife Co. to where they have a nice snappy detent on their hands. So thumb stud flies right out of there. Middle finger flick flies right out of there. Slow roll it. Thumb stud, or thumb flick, middle finger flick. Nice acoustic. Snaps out of there with a nice thwack. Now I will say sometimes I do kind of push right over the thumb stud because they are pretty much flush with the scale. They do stick out a little bit, but you see they're basically tucked back into this kind of cubby hole on the cutouts of the knife. So a lot of the times, not a lot of the times, every once in a while I should say, I do kind of push over the knife or over the thumb stud. It's very easy to do, just due to how, like I said, how they're placed on the knife and how they are basically flush with the scales. But very nice, very snappy. There we go. Closing. Like I said earlier, I don't love the lock bar access. That's the one big complaint I have with this knife. Really my only complaint with this knife. And when I first started using it, I was kind of trying to shove my thumb up into this groove right here. And of course you can do that, but I was eating my thumb up a lot, and I still do if I fidget with it for a while. But I've found it's easier to drop your thumb down here lower on the jimping, and that gives you a better grip and has more area for your thumb to latch onto, and you're not really like shoving it in there trying to kind of get it all in the nooks and crannies. And of course, I like to do that didn't work. I like to do that. Drop it down. Fun to fidget with. I don't know why sometimes it does right in here is a little bit gritty. I have not taken this apart yet or tuned it or anything like that, but I'm planning to at some point. But there's a little bit of blade play, but nothing too bad. Nothing that needs approached and dealt with right now. But nice, drops to your nail, a couple micro shakes, or drops to your nail, bang once and you're closed. All in all, very snappy detent, very nice action. It does get a little bit old after a while just because of how kind of beat up your thumb can feel if you're really fidgeting with it and just thumb flicking and dropping with your nail and closing and just repeating that sort of method 100 different times. It definitely can feel like you're beating up on your thumb, but you kind of get used to it. And I definitely, other than the lock bar access not being very good at all, my only complaint with the action, very snappy, very fun to fidget with, nice acoustics, nice drop. All in all, very, very good. So next we are going to move on to ergos. And ergos on this knife are very good. So it's a very slim knife, very kind of, streamlined. You pretty much have a straight line from here all the way back, wraps down around, and you have another straight line from here until you have this indent. And you can also kind of use the, I don't want to say it's a flipper choil, kind of a landing spot up there is a choil. But first things first, I can get all 4 fingers on this knife very easily. Put my pointer finger in this groove right here, and the rest of my fingers follow suit. Very comfortable. That allows me to land my thumb right on the jimping right there. Very comfortable in a saber grip, hammer grip. I don't know if you really would want to be doing this, using this knife in a reverse saber grip or hammer grip, but you can definitely do so if needed. Now, when you choke up, middle finger goes in the groove, 2 fingers follow suit, and then your pointer finger wraps around. That's very comfortable as well. But honestly, when it comes to the pocket clip, normally when you choke up on a knife, you're getting out of the pocket clip zone, out of the hotspot zone even more, so it's not much of an issue at all. But on this knife, you can kind of feel it, and I don't know if it's just the way the edges are kind of rounded off here, or not so much rounded off. Not that they're sharp, but they definitely have a little bit of a, edge to them, I guess, if you can say that. But back here, I can't really feel it at all. I can feel it, but unless I'm like really choked down, it's not bothering me much. But then when I move up, it goes from kind of in the palm of my hand, but when I choke up, it goes to like the corner of the palm of my hand. Now, overall, it's not enough to bother me, not enough to, hinder me from using the knife. But overall, I think that it's just very, it kind of struck me as odd because, like I said, most knives, when I choke up on them, when they have a choil or a landing area like this one does, it just relieves that sort of pocket clip annoyance. But this one sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Made it worse, I guess. I was trying to look for some fancy schmancy word, but couldn't think of anything. But overall, not bad. But I really like the texturing on the knife. That is a huge, obviously, selling point aesthetically, but it also works very, very well when it comes to grip and texture and holding onto the knife in different ways. It just adds that little bit extra when you're holding on to it, and it just kind of makes it just that much more comfortable. It kind of is satisfying to kind of run your finger over just because it's so many small little dimpled holes. Very, very cool. But overall, no sharp edges other than kind of the pocket clip corner right there, but it's all nicely rounded off, chamfered in different areas. To me, it's a very comfortable knife, and I like how slim and streamlined and basically like a gentleman carry type of knife, at least to me, and I think a lot of other people as well. So really have no complaints at all with the ergos besides the edge of the pocket clip being a little bit sharp, but overall very, very comfortable, and don't really have much else to complain about there. So next we're going to move on to carry. And this knife carries very, very well. Like I've already mentioned a couple of different times, it's very slim, it's streamlined. The blade basically tucks into the handle. It's very, very nice the camera move a little bit. There we go. I mean, I can basically almost fit it in the palm of my hand. It doesn't have a weight on the website, but with the internal milling and, you know, it's how small it is, I would have to guess around 3 ounces, and it carries super, super well. So of course you do have that loop over style deep carry clip that I've already talked about. Sits way down in your pants. I mean, it goes to the butt end of the knife, so you are not showing anything. Carries very well. You have no flipper tab, no jimping up top there. If you know you're going down past your knife to get change, medicine, anything like that, you have no risk of when you're pulling up out of the pocket, catching your knife and pulling it up with you. That's always kind of a plus with, you know, when you're not dealing with flipper knives. But overall, it just, you know, carries so well. I've carried this in khakis. I carry this pretty much every time I go to the golf course, just because, you know, you kind of have to. In my bird dog shorts, I've carried this in gym shorts numerous times, and every time it's basically probably one of my better carrying knives, just, you know, due to how small it is, how slim it is, how good the pocket clip works, and overall it's just a fantastic carry. Probably one of, like I said, one of my better ones in the collection. One of the ones I really enjoy carrying whenever I have the knife, whenever I reach for it. So no complaints at all from the carry department. But that leads me to my final category of price point and would I recommend this knife. So price point on the Rockwall thumb stud golf is technically what they call it on the website, or you can call it the golf wall. That's kind of the nickname for it. On the website, which was sold, I didn't realize this, but I just happened to notice, this was available from 7/28, so that would be June 28th to 9/27/2022. So June 28th to September 27th, 2022. So this is a year old. I did not realize that it happened that long ago. I thought it was earlier this spring, sometime around there, but I did not realize that it happened almost a year ago. So that's kind of wild. That's definitely was not expecting that. Kind of surprising, but overall, still a very good knife for the price, or for the, you know, for being a year old. But the price was $329. I bought it, I believe, for $285 on the secondary, and I will consider that a very good price any day of the week for a USA made knife with Magna Cut and texturing and dimpling as cool as this. I mean, you're not finding this on another knife. Like, that is something so cool, and that is a huge reason why I was drawn towards this specific model. Is, you know, you can get frag tie on different knives, you can get rifling pattern on different knives, but when can you say that you are carrying a knife with literally, you know, golf ball texturing? I mean, golf, like putter patterning, like putter milling on, you know, Oz Roosevelts and stuff like that is very cool too, and I really like that. But I think this was a super cool addition to sort of the knife space with specific texturings, and I love that. I really do. I was honestly kind of tossing around the idea of selling this knife to go towards different stuff, but I just really like it, and I think I'm gonna keep this for quite a while. Like I said, I really enjoy carrying it. Whenever I know I have it in my pocket, I don't know, it just makes me happy. I'm like, oh, I got my Rockwall in my pocket today. You know, basically a golf ball. So I think for $330, I think that was a fair price. Again, you're getting a USA made knife with very premium materials, great action, snappy detent, great carry, great ergos, very streamlined. Just overall a very beautiful looking knife. And I think I got a good deal on it. Like I said, $285. I still see it on the secondary here and there for anywhere from $250 to $300-ish. So I think prices have come down a little bit. Every once in a while I do see a one for $350, something like that. Someone trying to get more than retail for it. But the seasonal release that I was talking about that has the Cerakote version of this is $399, so $400. And you can also get that version in a Tanto or this drop point, which is very cool. So if you guys are looking for a Tanto version, definitely go check that out. And it'll be linked in the description down below if you guys are interested. So I'm going to wrap this up now. I feel like I've rambled about the Rockwall a lot. I hope you guys are able to get a good rendition of how I feel about the knife, and you're able to put that into your own life with buying purchases. If you're, you know, looking towards buying one of these, highly recommend it. Great carry, great knife. And yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up now, but thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.